Berkshire Hathaway owns quite a few bank stocks. Most of the picks were chosen by Warren Buffett himself. And at the end of the first quarter, Berkshire owned shares of 10 different banks. In total, these positions have a current market value of more than $91 billion. Recently, we learned that Buffett and his team have added more to the company's largest bank stock investment, Bank of America. In fact, Berkshire's latest Bank of America stock purchase pushes the stake past the 10% ownership threshold. So, let's take a look. Recently, Bank of America disclosed in an SEC filing that Berkshire Hathaway owns 950 million shares of the bank. This is much higher than the 896.2 million shares owned by Berkshire at the end of the first quarter of 2019. This translates into an additional $1.64 billion invested in what was Berkshire's largest bank stock investment. Therefore, at the current stock price, Berkshire's Bank of America stake is now worth about $29 billion. This puts the Bank of America stake behind Berkshire's Apple stake, which is worth about $51.7 billion, but ahead of Berkshire's Coca-Cola stake, worth about $21.2 billion. The reason this is important is that Berkshire's investment in Bank of America is now about 10.4% of the bank's outstanding shares. The 10% ownership level is important, especially when it comes to banks because of the regulatory issues. In the past, Buffett has avoided owning more than 10% of his bank stocks. As an example, Berkshire sold stock in Wells Fargo to remain under the 10% threshold. This likely means that Buffett and Berkshire must have a good level of confidence in Bank of America. Looking at recent results from Bank of America shows why Buffett might be eager to invest. First, Bank of America is doing a better job of growing than the rest of the big banks. As an example, Bank of America's loan portfolio and deposit base grew by 4% and 6% respectively in the second quarter of 2019 on a year-over-year basis. This was more than double the growth experienced by the other big four U.S. banks. Moreover, Bank of America has improved efficiency and continues to increase its profitability. The bank recorded an 11.6% return on equity and a 1.23% return on assets, a performance that was not likely just only a few years ago. From a value perspective, Bank of America looks like a relative bargain. At just 1.15 times book value, and 10.8 times trailing 12 months earnings, Bank of America is performing well and continues to improve, but the improvements haven't necessarily been reflected in the stock price. So, let's now go and take a look at our charts. We're now taking a look at the 20-year monthly chart on Bank of America Corporation, and the symbol is BAC. For disclosure purposes, I do not hold any shares of BAC at this time. Now we'll pause here at the price chart just for a moment before we move to the oscillator. So I want to show something here to you, a couple of things here to you. You've heard me talk about Investors Business Daily, or IBD, several times, because one of the favorite patterns for IBD is the cup and handle. And I'm going to show you. Here we have a cup and handle, and this is a fairly large cup and handle. So it moves like there's the cup on up here, and then here's the handle. Now, it may not be perfect, but to me, it's good enough. But I want to show you something else here. Here's even larger, a massive cup and handle, moving through here all the way up, and then to that point there, and then the handle. So, with regard to IBD, the trigger point is somewhere around this level, and that would be your trigger point right there. If the price did exceed this level here, then you buy in. Now, a trigger point for the current level is someplace around there. So we're a little bit below that, not too far, but the buy point is at this level here, so it's got a little bit of time before it gets there, if it gets there, and I think it will. Now I like the cup and handle from IBD because this formation shows up well on our charts in addition to showing up well on the price chart. So let's go take a look at the MAC here. Now the cup doesn't necessarily show all that well, but definitely the handle does. So here's the first handle, and then here's the current handle right here. Now, on the first handle, your buy point probably was right there as it crossed through. The fast line crossed through the slow line. Now, this fast line here looks like it's approaching the slow line, and I think it will cross some time here in the next month or two, somewhere, let's just say about there. Now, let's go back up. I'm going to see if I can get both of these charts into the video for you. Hopefully, this will do well. But you see that the buy point at this point here was right here, well below IBD's buy point. Again, this one is here, and so the buy point is pretty close. Maybe this one is closer than the previous buy point, but I think you get the idea. In my mind, the charts, particularly the MACD, you have an idea well ahead of a buy point, much further ahead than you do with IBD's cup and handle on their price chart. So that's why I go to the oscillators. Looking at the histogram, that looks fine, nothing wrong with that. Here into the price rate of change. Similar to 2015, 2016, we have the bottoming process occurring here. We're near the zero line, which is just fine, but the fast line just popped through the zero line and the slow line right here. So I think within the next month or two is going to be a pretty good buy point on Bank of America. And as I've said before, the current time frame is very similar to 2015, 2016. And again, once again, here with the RSI, 2015, 2016, the current time frame, very similar. I think the same thing's going to happen. And I'm going to get tired of saying this, but stochastics, back here, 2015, 2016, similar pattern. I think the same thing's going to happen. Can't tell much from the volume. I don't like the fact that the volume has been declining somewhat here, but it's not a huge red flag, at least in my mind. And then, of course, the Williams, we had the bottom here as we did back in 2016. So I think the bottom's been set, and I think that the stock wants to run. So all the way back up here to the price chart, in my opinion, Bank of America is a great potential candidate. But as always, conduct your due diligence and look at the fundamentals. But by the way that the charts show, in my mind, Bank of America is a prime candidate for a banking stock. And so for today, that's ChewDog Charts. Thank you.